Let's have a look at the process of applying an application hotfix to my Dynamics 365 for operation environment. So in this particular case, I've got a project that has quite a few different environments, and this is the one that I'm going to work on. And so if I jump into there, I'll just let it refresh here. What we'll see is down the bottom the list of application updates and binary updates. Now I've done most of the binary updates. That's a pretty automatic process from update 4 onwards, and in this particular case I've got well, it was originally an update 4 virtual machine, but I've applied hotfixes, so it's now an update 5 environment. But in any case, the binary updates are a fairly straightforward process I can do through lifecycle services, but the application updates will depend on the customizations potentially in your environment. So that one might take a little bit more steps. So let's walk through a simple application update. In this case, I've got no hotfixes. This is simply the demo environment. So this will work if you're using D365 and you haven't customized it, because the process will basically be the same. You don't have to worry about merging customizations or managing the customizations. So first thing is I'm going to go to my application updates. Now I should point out that I've remoted to my virtual machine, meaning the desktop that I'm running is a remote desktop into the Azure environment for the virtual machine that I'm working on. So if I have a look, I might find a hotfix. So this one looks interesting, for example, mobile vendor invoice approval. So if I need that hotfix, this is essentially the process that I'm going to do to apply that to my environment. First thing is I'm going to select it by adding it to a package, and so it's going to add a package, and you'll see the download package gets updated. So I got to add many hotfixes. In this case I'm just going to do the one KB, and you know, the package could contain many of these. I could select them all if I really needed to do that, but in this case I'm just going to do the one. So I'm going to hit download the package, and so that's going to give me in this case I'm going to say select all, because it's going to show me all of the hotfixes in this package. So I'm going to say download, and then it's going to pop up in a sec here, and you'll see that it says download package. So I'm going to go and save this, and I'm going to put it in a folder that I can remember. In my case I'm just going to do it in temp, and I'm going to say KB. I didn't write down that KB number that we found there, but I'm just going to say update is the file name that I'm saving, so KB update is what I've called it. Alright, so it's going to download. In this case it's fairly small, so it should download pretty quick. Alright, now we have that file, what do we do with it? So I'm going to go and use Visual Studio. So I'm going to log into Visual Studio here. I need to run it as administrator to do these updates, so I'll let that start up. Alrighty, so I'm in Visual Studio, and you'll see my application Explorer. This is our application Explorer. These are my objects. Now you'll see that we've got our Dynamics 365 menu in Visual Studio. So I can go to the D365 menu, and I can come down to add-ins, and you'll see that there's a menu here that says apply hotfix. So I'm going to use this menu and run the process here. And so this is a metadata hotfix. Most of these are going to be metadata hotfixes because they're updating application objects. So what I'm going to do here is now browse, and I downloaded that to the temp file on this machine, but when it gets downloaded it's a zip file, and this update is looking for a DP package here. So what I'm going to do is zoom over to Explorer, find my temp, and this is my KB update. So I'm simply going to extract this, into a folder. So now the folder is KB Updates. So once I've done that, if I come back to my Visual Studio Open dialog box, then I'm going to find this package file here. So now that I've got that, I can hit Open, and in this case I'm not using source control. I'm not using Visual Studio Team Foundation or Visual Studio Online, for example, because this is just a standard demo environment. It's not a developer demo environment, for example. So I'm going to hit the Apply button based on the package that we've selected, and depending on the size, you'll get a message that Hotfix applied successfully. So if I click OK, what I'll see is that in this case this was the Hotfix, so 327 was the one. Actually it was this one, 8224 was the one, just looking at the time that it was applied. So that's it applied. Now what we should really do is do a compile. So what I'm going to do is go and build the models. Now if we know what model was actually updated, so if we go back to the hotfixes here, we'll see that the model was source documentation and application suite. Those were the two models that were updated. So we should really rebuild those models. So application suite, and I could go and find the documentation, source documentation. So I could select those and hit build. That's obviously the shorter process, but in my case, if you're doing many hotfixes, it might be worthwhile just to select all and do a build of all of the models. So that's what I'm going to do in my particular case. So I'm going to hit build. Now this is going to take a little while. In this particular machine, the way I've configured it, it might take about 25 to 30 minutes to do a full compile, full build, so it'll take a little while. So I'll pause the video while it's running. Alright, so my build is done. Again, I selected all the models, so it took roughly about 30 minutes. So in this case I've got warnings, but I'm not going to worry about the warnings, so I'm going to close this out. And so I'm going to just simply restart the IIS. So I'm going to do IIS reset, IIS reset. Now this is something that you need to be careful of, because if you have other users using the system, obviously that's going to restart the web server, which is going to essentially restart the AOS, and of course users are not going to be connected. So this is simply just going to re-pick up and make sure all the current models and code is running in that application. So it's done. Now I can access my environment again. I can get access, and of course that functionality, wherever it might have been enabled, is available. So that's a quick walkthrough applying an application hotfix, and the key to it is of course downloading the hotfix from LCS, but using the apply hotfix in Visual Studio on the remote VM where you've got your D365 operation deployed.